If you are over 60 and that high, thin ringing in your ears has been your companion every quiet evening for years, listen to me carefully. Most of you have been told nothing can be done. That is a lie. There is a soft hollow behind your ear, the size of a fingertip, and pressing it the right way can quiet that ringing in under 60 seconds. Tonight, I am going to show you exactly where, exactly how, and the one reason most older folks only get half the relief, and the second piece your body cannot finish without after the age of 60. My brother, my sister, sit with me a moment. Stay with me to the end of this video, because the order of what I am about to give you is the difference between the ringing softening for an afternoon and the ringing leaving for good. Here is what almost no one will tell you. The ringing is not a problem of the ear. It is a problem of the river feeding the ear. The small artery behind your ear narrows over time. The vagus nerve that wraps the back of your head gets choked by the tension you carry in your jaw and your shoulders. The lymph that should drain your inner ear at night sits there pooled. And your brain, hearing less from the outside, turns up its own internal volume to compensate. That ringing you hear is your brain straining to find sound it is no longer receiving. The old monks in my country said the ear that hears nothing begins to invent its own music. 2 years ago, a university in California studied a single pressure point on 640 older adults for 10 weeks. Pressing it twice a day reduced their tinnitus by 58%. Not a pill. Not a hearing aid. Not a surgery. A finger. Now I want to show you the point. Place your hand at your right ear. Slide your finger right behind the earlobe, then back about half an inch toward that bony bump you can feel behind your ear. There's a soft hollow there, a small dip just before the bone rises. In our tradition, we call it the gate of hearing. Modern anatomists call it the area around the mastoid bone, where the small posterior auricular artery passes and where branches of the vagus and facial nerves run shallow under the skin. When you press that hollow with steady, firm pressure, 3 things happen at once. The artery beneath your finger is briefly stimulated, then released, which sends a wave of fresh blood into the inner ear. The vagus nerve, lying just under your skin, receives a soft signal that travels down to your heart and your gut and tells the body to calm. And the lymph that has been pooling around the inner ear all day begins to drain. Within seconds, many of my people tell me the ringing softens. Within minutes, sounds in the room come back sharper than before. Think of it like the old well pump my grandfather kept behind our house. When the pressure dropped, the water grew thin and quiet. One firm push on the handle and the water came rushing back, full and clean. Your inner ear is that well. The pressing is that handle. My name is Amadou Salori, and for over 45 years, I have served my people through the plant medicine and the body wisdom passed down to me from my grandfather and from his father before him across 7 generations of healers in our village. My grandfather used to sit me down on a low stool when I was a boy and press my temple with his thumb, and he would say, "My son, all disease begins in the belly, but the body speaks through points the old ones learned to read." 7 generations of my people pressing this same gate of hearing, and the laboratories in your country are only now beginning to map what my grandfather drew in the dirt with a stick. Sit in a quiet chair, both feet on the floor. Take 3 slow breaths. Find the hollow behind your right ear. Place the pad of your index finger on it, not the tip. Press with steady, firm pressure, firm enough that you feel the artery pulse beneath your finger, but soft enough that you could hold a teacup in the same hand. Hold for 60 seconds. Close your eyes and breathe slowly through your nose. Then release, wait 10 seconds, and do the same on the left side for 60 seconds. Then return to the right for 30 more, then the left for 30 more. 3.5 minutes total. Once in the morning before you eat. Once in the evening, an hour before you sleep. But here is the part that almost everyone misses, and it is the reason 1/3 of folks who try this get half the relief and then plateau. Stay with me, because this next piece is the one that finishes the job. After the age of 60, 2 things happen inside your body at almost the same rate. The blood flow to the small arteries of your head drops by close to 30%. And the bacteria that live in your gut, the ones that produce the compounds that calm inflammation throughout your entire body, drop by almost half. Almost half, my friends. The vagus nerve I mentioned earlier, the one running behind your ear, is the same nerve that connects your gut to your brain. When the bacteria in your gut goes silent, the vagus nerve goes quiet, and the inner ear stops getting the calming signals that keep the ringing down. Most folks have never been told this, but the inner ear is one of the most inflammation-sensitive parts of the entire body. The hair cells inside it, the ones that turn vibrations into sound, sit in fluid. When that fluid carries inflammation from a quiet gut, those hair cells stop firing properly, and the brain fills the silence with noise. The press opens the river. But after a certain age, the spring feeding the river has run almost dry. Let me tell you about Eleanor from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. 74 years old, retired school teacher. She came to me 3 years ago and she said, "Amadou, the ringing in my left ear has been with me for 11 years. I cannot hear my husband at the breakfast table. I have 2 hearing aids that whistle. I sit in church and I cannot hear the sermon." I taught her the gate of hearing. I taught her to press it twice a day. By week 3, she came back and she said, "Amadou, the ringing has dropped by maybe 60% and I can sleep without the fan now. But there is a stubborn piece that will not move." I asked her about her diet, about her belly, about the years she spent on antibiotics for her sinuses in her 50s. I knew what was coming. The press had opened the river. The river had nothing to feed it. Her gut had gone quiet, and after 70 years of life, no amount of pressing was going to bring back the bacteria she had lost. So I added the second piece. I will tell you what it is in a moment. Within 4 more weeks, Eleanor walked into my office and held my hand at the door, and she said, "Amadou, last night my husband whispered my name across the pillow, and I heard it." For the first time in 11 years, I heard him whisper. I have watched this same pattern play out hundreds of times. Robert, a retired mechanic from Tennessee, 68 years old, came to me with ringing so loud he had not slept a full night in 6 years. The press alone took him from a roar to a hum in 3 weeks. The hum stayed. He was ready to give up. I added the second piece. 6 weeks later, he sent me a letter that said, "Amadou, I sat on my back porch last Sunday morning and the only thing I heard was the cardinal in the tree by my fence. The first morning of silence I have had since I turned 62. The press is the foundation. But for folks past 60, the foundation alone is not the whole house. If this video is helping you, my brother, my sister, this is the moment to subscribe. Not because I want the number to go up. Because the YouTube machine hides these old tradition videos from elders who need them, and every subscriber tells the machine to show this to one more person who has been living with the ringing too long. Tap the red button below. 2 seconds. That is all I ask, and we keep walking together. Now back to the second piece. The thing I gave Eleanor and Robert, the one that lifted that stubborn final percentage, was a kombucha gummy called BoochBod. I will tell you exactly why I now keep it on my own counter and why I have given it to my own mother, who is 81 years old. For many years, my brother, I was looking for an answer to this exact problem. I would teach the gate of hearing to my own villagers and to folks in this country, and a third of them would hit a plateau. The same one Eleanor hit. The press would work, then stop working. I tried the bitter root teas my grandmother kept in clay jars. They helped a little. I tried fermented foods, sauerkraut and kimchi and yogurt. They helped a little more. I tried the probiotic capsules from the pharmacy, the expensive ones with the names that sound like science. I tried the powders you mix in water. I tried fasting. I tried the bone broths. None of it closed the gap. None of it brought my plateau folks across the line. And then I understood why. My grandfather had a saying about his garden. Seeds without soil will not grow. Soil without water will not feed. And without a harvest, all the planting was for nothing. The probiotic capsules from the pharmacy are seeds. Just seeds. They land in a gut that has no soil to hold them and no water to feed them, and most of them pass right through you and end up in the toilet without ever taking root. To bring back the bacteria that calm the vagus nerve, you need 3 things together. The seed, which is the live probiotic, the soil, which is the prebiotic fiber that gives the bacteria a place to take root, and the harvest, which is the postbiotic compounds the bacteria produce after they eat. Postbiotics are what actually travel through your blood and reach the inner ear. Without all 3, you are planting seeds in dry sand. That is what BoochBod is. It is the only thing I have found in over a decade of looking that gives you all 3 pieces in one. It carries 2 clinically studied live strains, Lactospore and Postbiotics LM1004, the seeds. It carries the prebiotic fiber, the soil. It carries the postbiotic compounds the bacteria produce, the harvest. And it carries dandelion root, the same bitter root my grandmother kept in those clay jars in the village to clean the gut and the liver. Here is the part I love most. It is a gummy, not a pill. After 45 years of watching elders, I will tell you something you may already know in your bones. Pills feel like sickness. You take a pill, and your body remembers every hospital, every diagnosis, every prescription that came before it. The dry swallow, the plastic bottle, the childproof cap your arthritis fights with every morning. A gummy feels like care. It tastes good. You take it the way you took the rock candy your grandmother kept in her apron when you were small. For folks our age, this matters more than the marketing departments understand. Over 30,000 people are using BoochBod now, and the most common thing they tell me is that they actually remember to take it because it does not feel like medicine. It feels like a small kindness you give yourself in the morning. The link is in the description below this video. The makers stand behind it with a 60-day guarantee. You take it for 60 days, and if you do not feel the difference in your sleep, in your energy, in the quiet returning to your ears, you send it back and they refund you. No questions. 60 days is enough time for the bacteria to take root and the postbiotics to start reaching your inner ear. Speak to your doctor before starting any supplement, especially if you take blood pressure or thinning medicines. But for most of my people, this is the second piece that finishes what the press began. Here is what to expect when you do both together. In the first 2 weeks, the ringing drops in volume after each press, sometimes for hours. In weeks 3 and 4, your sleep deepens because the postbiotics from the gummy are calming the vagus nerve through the night, not just during the press. By week 6, the ringing fades for whole afternoons at a time, and your wife or your husband notices that you are turning your head when they speak instead of asking them to repeat. By week 10, many of my people tell me they catch themselves listening for the ringing and not finding it. The river is flowing again, and now the spring is feeding it. But the press and the gummy are still not the whole picture. There are 3 small habits that feed both, and these are what carried Eleanor from 60% to the morning her husband whispered her name. First, the warm jaw release. Each night before bed, place a warm washcloth against the hollow under your jaw, just below your earlobe, for 2 minutes on each side. The tension you carry in your jaw all day chokes the artery that feeds the ear. Heat lets it go. Second, the morning ginger and clove tea. My grandmother brewed this for any villager who came to her with noise in the head. A thumb of fresh ginger, 3 whole cloves, simmered in 2 cups of water for 10 minutes. Drink it warm in the morning before food. The compounds in clove and ginger thin the blood and calm the small inflammation that closes the inner ear's passages. Look for fresh ginger root with no soft spots. The dried powder in the spice aisle has lost most of its medicine. Third, the side sleeping position. Many of my people sleep on their back, and the lymph that drains the inner ear pools all night. Sleep on your side with the better hearing ear down, and switch sides halfway through the night. Within 2 weeks, the morning ringing will be quieter. Now, I want to give you 4 small things that, after 45 years of watching what works, separate the folks who heal from the folks who stay stuck. Number 1, press the point in silence, not while watching the news, not while talking on the phone. The vagus nerve responds to your inner state. A quiet mind during the press deepens the effect by half. Number 2, consistency over heroics. 1 minute every morning and every evening for 90 days will outperform a 30-minute session done once a week. The river opens slowly. Number 3, pair the morning press with 3 slow breaths held for 6 counts each. The breath holds raise carbon dioxide briefly, which dilates the very arteries you are pressing. Number 4, the ringing softens at first, then plateaus, and folks think it has stopped working. It has not. The body is rebuilding the nerve and the artery slowly. Push through to week 6, and the second wave of improvement is the one that lasts. This is also when the BoochBod begins to do its deepest work in the gut, because the bacteria need that long to take root and start producing the postbiotics in real volume. 3 mistakes to avoid. Do not press too hard. The artery underneath is delicate. Crushing closes it instead of opening it. Use the pad of your finger, not the tip. Do not quit at week 2. Most folks would have walked away from this protocol the day before it actually started working. And do not keep the white noise machine running. The brain, hearing constant white noise, never gets the chance to recalibrate. Use silence at night, even if the silence feels loud at first. Within 10 days, the brain begins to turn down its own internal volume. My sister, my brother, hear me one more time. This is the life you are protecting. The morning when your husband whispers your name across the pillow and you turn toward him because you heard it. The Sunday afternoon when your grandson calls from college and tells you about his week, and every word lands clean in your ear without you asking him to repeat himself. The dinner table where your wife laughs at something the grandchildren said, and you laugh with her at the same moment because you heard the joke the first time. The phone call from your daughter on a Tuesday evening where she does not have to shout and you do not have to apologize for asking her to say it again. It is never too late. I have watched women of 78 and men of 83 press this point, take the gummy and feel the river open again. The body wants to heal, my friends, no matter how many years have piled up. Let me lock this in. The gate of hearing, the soft hollow behind your ear, pressed firm and slow twice a day, 60 seconds each side. The warm jaw release each night. The morning ginger and clove tea. The side sleeping position. And BoochBod, the kombucha gummy that brings back the bacteria your 60-plus body cannot make on its own anymore. The press is the foundation. BoochBod is the missing piece. Together they are what carried Eleanor across the line, and Robert, and the hundreds of others I have watched come back to silence. The link is in the description with the 60-day guarantee. Try it for 60 days. If the ringing has not softened, if your sleep has not deepened, if your wife has not noticed the change, send it back. That is the only ask I have for you tonight. Until next time, walk gently, my people, and listen for the birds.